This meeting is called to order. We have an agenda that we will be following. If anyone needs one, they're outside on the table. If you would like an agenda, we will follow as outlined, starting with invocation by Mr. Mike Reed, who is one of our commissioners, and then the Pledge of Allegiance. May we all stand.
Lord, bless this group that's here today, that they are able to present the facts in order for the best decisions to be made about Newberry and the county as a whole and city. Bless every person that has taken the time and initiative to develop the facts and those that will hear the facts. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next on the agenda is additions, deletions, and adoption of agenda. I have one correction on the agenda. When we look at it's under 4, your project presentation. Strike Newberry Opera House Foundation. This is just the city of Newberry and Newberry County. The Opera House is not affiliated with this project. It's just the city of Newberry and Newberry County. So if you would strike that. Any other additions or deletions? Do I have a motion for adoption of the agenda?
Make a motion.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that we will adopt this agenda with the necessary correction. Those in favor, let it be known by aye.
Aye.
Any opposes? Ayes have it. All right, we're down to number 3, our guidance for project presentation. Ms. Brimmer?
I have nothing new other than our previous schedule. The town of Whitmire was to be our last presentation for today. There was a conflict in timing. That is, tonight is their council meeting, so he asked to be moved to the 18th, and he will present at 7:20, and that was approved for him.
All right. Number 4, we will start with our project presentations, and we are right on time. 15 minutes for presentations, 5 minutes for question and answer, and you'll probably see me, if you're getting close, I'll probably do this, which means you've got about 2 minutes and then the 1. So we're going to try to stay on schedule as much as possible. But if we run over, just please know that we will try to get back on schedule. All right, so number 1, Town of Little Mountain Reunion Park, walking trail, large shelter, renovations with storage conversion. Mayor Janet Giroux.
Thank you. So nice to see y'all again. This is of the 4 projects I submitted, this one is the least cost, and it is probably the one that is the most ready to go. The walking trail will go around the perimeter of the park, and I think I've got a picture of the park. There we go. So I didn't have to bring my big board this time. If you look at the picture of the park, around the perimeter would be the walking trail. Yeah, I think it comes out to half a mile. One of the reasons we would really like to have this walking trail is currently we have a running club at Little Mountain Elementary. Right now they have to use the street. And I don't know if you've been to Little Mountain lately, but with all the construction on the interstate, the streets are really busy. So this would have, it's across the street from the elementary school if you're not familiar with the location. So it'd be very easy for the running club of the elementary school to use it, which we feel would be so much safer and so much more convenient for all of us. It would keep them out of traffic and off of the road, which would be wonderful. For the renovating the picnic pavilion area, we have a large shelter that currently has a metal roof over it, and it is located in Area 3. If you see the large red rectangle, that is the roof of the shelter that I'm talking about. It has not had much work done on it in probably 25 years. It has fans, it has lights, it has the roof. We need to upgrade all of the fans. We would like to improve the roofing some. It has wooden trusses underneath the metal that need extensive work. We have fans attached to the trusses, and we cannot run some of the fans because we're afraid they'll fall. So we would like to upgrade all of that, upgrade the roof, help clean the area, and expand it some so we can have more people under it. Right now, it is packed during the Little Mountain Reunion. If you go to the Little Mountain Reunion, is one of the places where a lot of people are drawn to eat and to view people on the stage. Now, the current stage that's there, we would like to convert it into a storage area and move the stage on the other side of where the shelter is now. That is not in this cost estimate at the moment because we're trying to battle a water problem that is making the stage that's there currently rot and mold. What we could do is we could raise it off the ground some, we could put a better foundation underneath it and use it for storage, and then have a stage on the other side of the current picnic pavilion, which is where we currently have movies in the park, it has a nice fall to it, and people can sit out there, and it'd be very easy to have a band on the other side and have a place for the audience to sit on the hill. The walking trail, I think with the new, the project originally was about $430,000. Now it's up to $700,000 with the adjustments from Alliance Consulting. Like I said, we would really like to have the walking trail. The wooden stage, we're having problems with water down there, so that's why we would like to change its purpose and put our audience more on the other side of the shelter where there is a nice fall and no water problems. And also, we are hoping that it can be cleaned up enough to be some excellent storage for us because we don't have any. And the picnic pavilion, again, it has lights, fans, and it's an excellent place for people to sit all through the year, but especially when there's a large group. The park is used, since COVID began, we've probably had something there every weekend, family reunions, birthday parties, graduations. The park gets a lot of use, and this would help out, especially if there's a chance of rain. It would give them a larger shelter area that's clean and well lit. But mostly I'm really excited about the idea of the walking trail because of the elementary school. So, any questions? I know if you look in your packet, I think on the last page is the poster. Shrunk down a good bit, I know. It might be a little hard to see all of it.
Stage conversion for 700,000.
It is. It should be
700, okay. So the 95,953 is,
That was one of the sections of the original estimate that was given, and then it had two pieces of that,
all right,
and I typed that information into that scoring sheet, it should have been 700,000.
Okay. So this is 700,000 for,
Yes,
Okay.
it was, and originally the packet had 2 of the 2019 estimated
yes.
cost. Okay, and then we put those 2 projects together that
Okay.
were from our original plan, and that made the 450 that is now the 700 with the update on the costs.
Most important to you is the walking trail shelter renovation of the items you have listed.
Yes, sir. And it's probably, out of the 4 projects, it is the one that I think could be done with very little prep work at this point.
You were ready to go on that project now.
Yes, sir.
So this is your number 1 priority.
Yes.
Okay.
The amphitheater would be great, but we
And
still have trees to cut down over there.
it might be in here somewhere, or maybe you said, but the breakdown as far as like the cost of the walking trail and then the cost of the shelter, what's that
Yes,
split?
ma'am. Let's see. Um, The walking trail originally was about, let's see, 142,450 plus 75,000. And the way it looks like things are running, you would add a 10% contingency, 12% for surveying and engineering, and then I guess double it. It looks like what they've done from prices from 2019 till now.
So that's the page that says like 311,000.
Yes, ma'am, that is correct. The walking trail is number 3 over there. And the 2 numbers for the walking trail on that sheet do not include
This one's
the
the
10% for the
walking trail.
contingency and the surveying and engineering costs.
So 350
And
to
that's the
400
structure.
probably for the walking trail.
Gotcha.
I would think so.
And that's the
I'm not an
2019.
engineer, but
Okay.
all right.
And the rest of that 700 is the stage stuff.
Yes, ma'am, the pavilion area and the renovating the picnic shelter pavilion.
Walking trails.
Actually, Alliance took the 427,000, which was for all of the project, right?
Yes,
And estimated it based on today's cost, because these estimates that are in your book, the ones we originally received were for 2019. So
Okay.
he got 2022 pricing, and that's where the 700,000 comes from. That's for the total of the walking
I see the
track,
adjustment.
the pavilion renovation, and then moving the stage from its current location to the front. So
Right.
all of that together is at 700,000.
Right.
He did not break down the new 700,000, but if we need that, and you would
Gotcha.
prefer that, we'll have, he could not be here tonight. So if there's something that we want in detail, he can provide that for us.
Okay.
I think we need that.
We need that.
Okay.
We need that, because I was just asking Renee, mine don't add up. I know my math is not that good, but and now I realize
Definitely
it's,
not gonna add up to the 700,000, because he just gave one number. It was a quick thing to get it in, when we were trying to get the books together. And so he talked to Mayor Giroux and gave her the 700,000 number based off of the original 427,000.
Right.
So I'll get him to get a breakdown for you before you start your deliberations on all
Great.
that.
Yeah, that would be good.
What kind of
It's
usage do
2019.
you have
Yeah, I see.
annually? What kind of usage do you have of the walking trail in the park itself, other than the reunion day? What kind of usage does the park have?
I do not have an exact number, but we rent out different shelters. We have 3 different shelters at the park. We rent them out different weekends, and in the past 2 years, it's been something almost every weekend down there, except for January and part of February. But we have, like I said, family reunions, birthday parties, baby showers. We had a couple weddings during COVID. We have, it actually is, it's a beautiful park, and we do have a lot of interest. So it has increased greatly, the number of people who use it.
So 42 weeks you have rental. How much is a rental per unit?
It depends on which shelter. The large shelter, I think, runs 300. And then if you clean it all up, we give you back 250.
What did that generate last year?
I do not know, but I can find out and email it to Karen. Because we do have a couple events through the year that rent the entire park, but mostly we do not charge any rent for the ball field, and the ball field's probably used 4 or 5 days a week this time of year. We have traveling ball teams that come from Irmo, Winsboro, that use the ball field. That is also part of the park. If he puts the picture back up, I can point it out to you. There you go. It's the very light section down there in the very bottom. On that plan, it's the idea that we could convert it to a parking area, but town council decided not to do that because the ball field gets so much use, we'd rather keep it as a ball field. Anything else?
Any other questions?
All right, well,
Thank
thank you.
you.
Thank you very much, and I'll see you next Monday.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, there's placement.
Okay, that's what I thought, but then I got confused.
This was for me to have extra because I misplaced my others. My extra. All right, we're right on schedule. And we're ready now for the City of Newberry, Newberry County, Downtown Amphitheater, Mayor Foster, and County Councilman Les Hip.
Good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners, and thank y'all for serving your community. I'll introduce myself. I'm Les Hip. I'm the Vice Chair of Newberry County Council, and I'll be representing the county in the presentation on this project. And with me is Mayor Foster Senn, and Mayor Senn will be representing the City of Newberry. Tonight's slide presentation effectively supersedes Exhibit 3 PowerPoint presentation and your project submittal document. You've got a bound copy of this document, and we're going to be referencing exhibits in this. So if you can have that available, and I'll point out those exhibits and you can follow with us. Now, following this presentation, we will be providing you this updated PowerPoint that you'll be able to put in to substitute the Exhibit 3 that you have in that bound version. I'm going to read a lot of these notes. I don't normally like to read. However, I want to make sure that I don't miss any salient points. So for the first time in the Cpst process, Newberry County and the City of Newberry are co-sponsoring a Cpst project. This is significant in that great things can be accomplished through collaboration. While the Newberry Opera House has been mentioned in the project, their role thus far has been one of information gathering and advisement on things such as size of a stage, power requirements, audio-video requirements, etc. And they will be one of the many end users of the amphitheater after it's completed. At this point, Mayor Senn will present the applications and benefits of the amphitheater, and I'm going to follow up with some specifics about construction and sustainability.
Thank you, Les. Well, Madam Chairwoman and Commission members, thank you for what you're doing. You're doing important work for the citizens of Newberry County, and we appreciate it. Now, amphitheaters go back thousands of years and have benefited communities for centuries. For example, in Italy, we read there remains a 2,000-year-old amphitheater in Pompeii the Romans used. Amphitheaters bring people together for entertainment, for recreation, for interaction, and they increase community spirit. That is true across the world, it's true across the country, and it is increasingly true in South Carolina, as new amphitheaters have been built across the state in recent years. I'll ask you to turn your attention to the screen if you'd like. New amphitheaters in South Carolina include, on the left and the bottom right, you'll see the Lexington Ice House. It opened in October of 2016. It has been a huge hit, and with concerts and events, and it's led to new developments in the area. It's the 4th most visited attraction in the Midlands. We visited this amphitheater and we're very impressed. The top middle is in Anderson. That is downtown, is the Carolina Wren Park. It hosts concerts, outdoor theater, art festivals, and more. The bottom middle is from Greenville. Greenville has multiple downtown amphitheaters, including this, the TD Amphitheater, shown here. And the top right is from Travelers Rest, and it's an award-winning amphitheater and park. Now, we visited Travelers Rest to see the amphitheater. That's on the left. It was a nice, tranquil day, and we were really impressed. Travelers Rest has concerts in the summer, outdoor movies on Saturdays in August, and local music and food trucks on Thursdays and Octobers. It's really a pretty setting. Again, that's the one on the left, and just I enjoyed visiting there. On the right side is from Asheville. Some of our group visited this amphitheater. This was an easygoing Saturday with music and families enjoying it. And we have seen that amphitheaters are popular in many other places and draw people of all ages. And together, we can bring an amphitheater to Newberry County. Now, amphitheater in Newberry is not a new idea. In fact, it's part of a master plan in Newberry in 1994. Now, we have identified a site that already has a natural slope and is a natural location for an amphitheater. It's just behind this building, just about a block and a half. It's between Nance and Caldwell Street, also Nance and McKibben. The intersection kind of comes together there on the left side of the red square. It has, in the red square, the city owns the 2 pieces of grass, and they form a natural slope. And at the top of the slope, the county has the option on the building that's shown there. And the total of the property is 2.8 acres. Now, this site is part of downtown. It's convenient to shopping and dining, and that can make for a fun day or a fun evening. An amphitheater downtown will also help our small businesses and generate more revenue for the local economy. It's centrally located and easy to get to. Now, there are many potential uses for a community amphitheater. First, concerts, and that's the left picture there. As an experiment, the Newberry Opera House hosted a concert at this site in June. It was a Swing of Medallions, and it was a big success. Approximately 600 people attended. We heard rave reviews. In fact, a guy who does not give a lot of praise called me on Monday morning after the Saturday concert, and he said it was fantastic. There would be new opportunities for touring acts with the amphitheater. The Opera House holds 428 seats. An amphitheater would be bigger and allow for bigger acts, with approximate capacity for this amphitheater, 1,500, and we'd be able to get some bigger names and also that way spread the cost out a little bit more and have some better prices, we believe. And as you know, the Opera House, when it puts on an event, it will be first class. 2 weeks ago, I served as a greeter for 2 different events, and that was fun. And I was reminded how people come from all over to the Opera House. I met people from Aiken and Columbia and the upstate, and met 4 people from Tennessee, because they know if they come to the Opera House, it's going to be first class and well done. It will be the same for the amphitheater. The Opera House would have some concerts there, and they would be first class, and it would attract locals and people from other counties, and in my mind, experience other states as well. Other uses, Newberry College and the Newberry County School District, both for students performing and students attending events held there. When I spoke with Dr. Sharon from the college and Dr. Alvin Presley, both say the college and the school district would use the amphitheater and welcome it to Newberry. On the right hand, it'd be great for family events, family programs, and family outings. Movie nights are big at amphitheaters. Most all the amphitheaters I read about have movie nights, and those are a big hit. Weddings and private events, you all know that outdoor weddings are really popular now. Perhaps some folks might use this as a wedding venue. Perhaps a church concerts would be held there, or certainly could be held there, and maybe a company staff outing. And community celebrations. As a community, we're very good at festivals like Oktoberfest, Pork in the Park, Juneteenth. This would give us another stage and another location for celebrations, which I'm excited about. Like amphitheaters in other communities, we envision this amphitheater as multi-purpose. It would have a multitude of uses to draw children and adults for relaxation, music, outdoor theater, movie nights, community celebrations, and more. We've all seen in the pandemic that people need community, they need interaction. An amphitheater can help bring that as well. Plus, some people are more comfortable now at outdoor events, and the amphitheater would provide that setting. We're excited about an amphitheater. Madam Chairwoman, I'm going to turn it back over to Les for the next steps. Thank you.
Thank you, Foster. As y'all can realize, Foster says a lot in a little bit of time, and I say a little in a lot bit of time. So I'm a slow talker. He made up for it. You'll see the steps to success. If you'll please open that project proposal to Exhibit 2, you're going to see that the city, county, and the Opera House entered into a formal agreement by defining the responsibilities and ownership of the facilities. The Opera House was invited to participate in the agreement since occasional use by the Opera House will help defer operational and maintenance costs of the project. Ticket prices to Newberry Opera House events held at the amphitheater will include a surcharge to offset the city and county expenses. The city already owns the green space on either side of 10th Street, which Foster had already spoken to you about. The county has the option to purchase the property currently owned by Eugene Jacobs, which was once the location of P.D. Johnson and Company. That is Exhibit 5 in your proposal package. So if you can go to Exhibit 5, you'll see the proposal for that property. Now, that option is available for 1 year at the price that's been agreed upon. With the county purchasing that property, this will make contiguous all county property from Harrington Street between Caldwell and McKibben Streets to the city-owned property dissected by 10th Street. The county-owned pavilion and restrooms will be available for many uses, as Mayor Sins already indicated. But to elaborate a little on the pavilion, and the pavilion being the yellow building on this slide, and it's also in your exhibit I referred to. As you'll see there, the Alliance engineer was very excited about the condition of the floor plan of the building. The roof is supported by steel trusses spanning the entire area to be used for concessions and group gatherings, and the concrete is sound and can withstand vehicular and pedestrian traffic. In other words, a repurposing of the building to a pavilion should go very well, and the pavilion can be used independently of the amphitheater for many public and private functions. Now, if you'll shift to Exhibit 1 on your document, that's the exhibit with the pricing and also conceptual designs offered by Alliance Engineering. The conceptual design contained in Exhibit 1 and shown on this slide is the most recent rendering of the amphitheater. I mentioned initially that we had a previous PowerPoint slide, and it had a conceptual design and rendering that's been has been replaced with this more current design. This project was originally estimated to be in excess of $4.8 million. Members of the city and county met with the Alliance Engineering and value engineered the project to a cost of $3.65 million. Some of the terraced seating in the rear of the amphitheater was removed. The original expected seating was 3,000 people, and that was reduced to 1,500 people. However, this was done without sacrificing functionality, and also left the option to add and expand to the venue later if desired. According to the design and construction schedule provided by Alliance Engineering, the amphitheater can be open to serve the public by May of 2024. Sustainability is always a concern on any new capital venture. And as previously stated, the city will own and maintain the green space and stage area of the amphitheater. The county will own and maintain the pavilion and the restroom area. And by the way, this will be the first really public restrooms that we have in downtown Newberry. The current memorandum of understanding will be amended by adding an operational agreement addendum to define specific responsibilities and sources of revenue for operation and maintenance of the facilities. The details of this agreement will be developed prior to opening of the amphitheater. Community impact. Foster's already covered much of this, but to summarize, Newberry County can expect to see an influx of tourism associated with users of an amphitheater. The clear message from all venues that we visited was, this has been a positive impact on our community and local economy. The amphitheater will improve the quality of life for citizens of Newberry County. Shows presented at the amphitheater can be reasonably priced or even free if sponsored by local corporations, as is done at the Lexington Ice House. And by the way, Lexington has 2 amphitheaters, and they have plans to build a 3rd. Having an amphitheater enhances Newberry's image and desirability in attracting residential, commercial, and industrial development. And of course, an amphitheater is a place for all people, regardless of age, culture, or socioeconomic status. It becomes a place where all are welcome and all are equal. So in conclusion, the project has the potential to not only pay for itself, but to create positive revenue streams. The Cpst will incorporate many worthwhile projects, but some will lack the ability to excite voters. This is a project that can excite the voters. In fact, we think the amphitheater will be popular enough to push the entire Cpst referendum through in November. And the project has tremendous support from the business community. I'm sure you either have already received or will be receiving letters from the Newberry Downtown Development Association, the Newberry County Business Alliance, the Newberry Workforce Development Corporation, and the Newberry County Chamber of Commerce. We also have a number of supporters here tonight and others in the community that have voiced support for this. We hope that you'll share our excitement over this prospect of having an amphitheater in Newberry County. This concludes our presentation, Madam Chair, and I think we're on time.
We're on time, right on time. Minute to spare. All
So,
right. We'll open up for questions.
Mayor Sin, if you'll join me, and if y'all have any questions, we'll try to answer your questions.
All right.
And if they're too difficult for me, then Foster will answer.
One thing I'd like to mention, you'll get a printed pack in a minute, and you can scan a page, which is on your screen. It'll be on the paper too, and that will give you can look at the presentation on your phone. So there you go.
Go back in.
I did not create that, but I'm very proud. So thank you very much.
So if y'all can't get enough of us, you can watch it all over again.
That's right. Well, not us, the
Yeah.
All right, any questions?
What about parking? The parking is a problem, I think.
That's, yeah, appreciate you asking that. The parking for the experimental concert went really well. People used all the parking lots downtown, the same as they do for the festivals. They also, at least that night, used the Lindsay Furniture parking lot, which we had approved. But, you know, for Oktoberfest, over the course of the day, it gets 30,000 people. So, you know, the crowd for one of these concerts will be significantly less than that at any point of the peak. So they may have to walk a little bit, but, you know, the parking lots throughout downtown, we think it could handle it pretty easily.
What about 10th Street, Mayor? Would there be any problem with closing that street?
It's my understanding it would not be. And
The 10th Street is owned by the city versus the South Carolina Department of Transportation, so the city has the authority to close 10th Street.
Okay.
Can you put that photo back up that shows the red outline?
I'm glad you look to the younger people. Yep.
Okay, so help me if I'm correct. So 10th Street will be closed?
Correct.
And then on the other side, there'll also be part for the amphitheater, or what?
The amphitheater, unless you're wrong, would probably be on the other side of the road. The stage, the stage would be right in there, thank you.
Thank you.
And then the audience would be sitting all the way through there. And then the restrooms will be in the white building there up top, and the concession stands.
And when we engineered the project, we had seating going all the way back to the, where the restrooms and the pavilion would be in that building. However, we reduced the seating to get our price down, but that still leaves an open area back there for standing room, and that can be developed later if we have a need for more seating. And we do have plans for handicapped access and so forth, so we'll be open to any special needs.
Now, that Trent Street, that's gonna run right into Scott Creek. How far would that be from Scott Creek?
Well, the stage would be on the other side in the grass,
Okay.
right where the blue, thank you. Where she's pointing, that would be the stage right there.
Mm-hmm.
And then the audience would be all the back this way, up in here.
But Scott Street will be behind,
Correct, yes, sir.
but how far would that be from Scott Creek?
What we looked at, the stage would be pretty close to where the road is. That's the way it was done in the experimental concert. So it was,
So we still be about 50 feet or 40 feet from Scott Creek?
Yes,
That's
sir.
probably a good estimate. And we did talk with the engineer about floodplain and flooding that occurred in the 1,000-year flood and so forth. And the stage will be elevated to a point that it would not be affected by those flood levels.
Does the price include the building and like fixing up the building? Okay, it's easier just to ask than try and sort through all the numbers. Okay,
Sure.
just making sure.
And really, the building was amazing when we went in there to see how structurally sound the steel trusses were, the concrete floor. In that area, as I mentioned, the fact that it's wide open with those steel trusses allows for a perfect pavilion area. You could have concession vehicles actually drive in and set up. You could have farmers markets. You could have other community uses where people could come in and either rent it, or either the city or county could sponsor some applications there. So it would be an excellent community serving building.
And your pavilion, I mean, are you leaving it enclosed or you're opening it up?
Actually, the part of the building where the restrooms are, and I'm going to say from there over to Powerhouse Road, which that side of the building that's highlighted right there, that will house the restrooms and the area for performers. They call it a green room, where they can come and get prepared and for their shows. And then the other area, because if you look at that building, it almost looks like a line there in the middle of the roof. From that area over to Caldwell Street would all be open. The windows now are large windows, and it would be, according to an engineer, very easy and structurally sound to take those windows out and have it opened up, very similar to some we saw that was built in Lexington, where it was open. But you could, of course, have these drop curtains for bad weather conditions, but you could be opened up.
And the cost from the seller for the building is $190?
That's correct.
And then what's the cost to fix it up as needed?
It's in that Exhibit 1, and it's it may be in several areas, because you got design cost, and design would be for the amphitheater and the building. Other engineering costs, those type things would be split between the building and the amphitheater area. So I don't know that.
So it's all kind of grouped together?
It's all,
Okay.
yeah.
So is there any separating it, like just the amphitheater, not the pavilion, or you feel like it needs to be together?
It's kind of hard to have an amphitheater without restrooms, and and then we originally had a design that included building a building with restrooms and the green room and all of that, and we found that getting the option on this property and repurposing it is not only smart growth, but it was also cost effective.
Tell me about what you envisioned with the restrooms.
I'm sorry, Mike, I'm not hearing.
Restroom
Tell me
description.
about what you think about the restrooms, your vision about how many stalls that you would have, and
Well, I know the engineer had a formula, maybe Les remembers it, but based on your capacity, there's a formula, he said, for restrooms per capacity.
That's correct. And I don't
We're going
remember
by
the
that.
formula, but what he did, when we had the discussion, we met with the engineer, the city had their inspector present, who's also an architect, I believe, and he and the engineer discussed what size restroom facility would be required for that number of people, and that's what's quoted in here.
Now, the thing about you mentioned about 30,000 people
No.
during the
No.
festival
Oh,
that
you
you
mean-
had here. You had plenty of porta-johns. Something like this that's on a permanent basis need to be well thought out in regards to the number and how many people you plan on attending various concerts. I was at an event that had 800 people. That was what they told me was there, and it was with actually two stalls. And that was, it was unbelievable, and that was something that I would hate to see, that we spend this amount of money and we hadn't thought about it.
That's right, and we have thought about it, and this is not, when I said public restrooms, this would not accommodate a festival of 30,000 people downtown, and I don't think it's designed to, but it would accommodate a full capacity event held at the amphitheater.
I would like to see the PowerPoint again with the agreement between the city and the county.
Actual paper, I believe, is
I
in
think that would be in
Yeah,
In
it just
this
looks better up here.
package, I don't,
There's the cliff notes. How about that?
No, it's the other one. It's
That
that one, that one,
Okay.
thank you. So who operates the pavilion? City or county?
County.
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 County on time.
Okay,
Restroom.
okay, I see it now.
And I guess like if someone rents it, who gets the money?
Well, the one thing we talked about in the operational agreement is have a one-stop shopping. So if somebody wants to rent it for an event, and we'll work that out, they'll either be somebody to see it, the city or the county, and that way you get the amphitheater and the restrooms, and work into one price. And, but that'd be part of the agreement. But the idea is that, we generate some money, for example, there'll be some type of fee added to, if the Opera House has a show, for example, added to it to help pay for the maintenance and the upkeep. So we don't have that detail worked out, but we are, both groups are committed to having that, sharing in the cost, and I believe sharing in the success. How about that?
So what happens, and could this happen, where there's an event with the amphitheater and then another event at the pavilion? Could you have two events at the same time?
I don't know, because the restroom issue, possibly. We hadn't talked, that's a good question. But it does open up opportunities. It's kind of like, we just kind of see how you grow into it as far as that goes. But I do see sometimes the pavilion, somebody renting it for a meeting or something like that, or potentially a winter farmer's market when it's too cold to be outside. And it would just, the amphitheater wouldn't even be used. So that would certainly, something we expect to happen.
But you could have a wedding at the amphitheater and then have something at the pavilion, and then you've got a bunch of people trying to use the
Well,
restroom.
that's true. We would probably, we would never cross a wedding, I tell you that.
Don't cross the flag now.
They will always get priority.
Who will coordinate between the Opera House and the Pavilion to make certain that you don't have
Overflow.
events, similar events?
Well, the Opera House makes its schedule at least 3 to 6 months in advance. And I'm sure it'd be the same way that they would sit down and have some dates they would like to have a show. The city staff, for example, knows when Oktoberfest is and when Juneteenth is. And there would just be some collaboration. And a lot of those things are done already. So I find my experience that those groups work well together. And
What groups
we'd be able to work it
well
out.
together? We only have the Opera House. We haven't got the Pavilion yet. And then we get the Pavilion, how are you going to interface with each other?
Well,
What's your
it's-
thoughts on that?
Right. I mean, again, we're already doing things with festivals, and it's kind of the same group. I mean, the groups that manage the festivals, with the PRT department, would I'm sure would be part of the group managing this along with the county representative. So it would be a good situation if we had that much competition looking for events. That's an optimistic outlook, actually.
Absolutely.
It would be neat that we got to that. But I think that they already work together, and that would not be difficult, in my opinion. But if the Opera House had some really good acts, I would think they would get some priority at the start of the year. There'd be some period where they'd say, look, we want 3 dates in the fall or something like that, and we would work those out.
Because this, let's be clear, this is not going to be used by the Opera House at the same number of shows frequency that they're having at the Opera House. This may get used, I would say, the most 10, 12 times a year. And that, I think, would be after it's really going and things are really picking up and we're operating well, and then the Opera House might bring in these shows. But if the Opera House brings in a show that's got a potential of 1,500 people, they don't do it on short notice. You know, they're going to have to plan that well in advance, 6 months, 8 months, a year in advance. And so that should not be, a conflict shouldn't be a problem like that.
I just bring it up because I just see the potential for some problems there if it's not coordinated correctly. And, it's a situation that I'm all for it, in reference to a Woodstock. I'd like to see that at your Newberry Opera House.
Well,
We're not,
I don't think we want Woodstock.
it's interesting you say that, Mike, because whenever the Swinging Medallions came and we had our outdoor concert to do the kind of dry run, it occurred after a rainstorm, and it occurred at an anniversary of Woodstock. And we laughed about it because there were 3 shows that had been at the Newberry Opera House that were at Woodstock, which was very interesting that we've had 3 of those shows be in Newberry.
I mean, where else would you see Willie Nelson, Peter, Paul and Mary, and Michael Bolton? Some of the shows that I've seen at Newberry Opera House, and you compare that to what you would have at an amphitheater, who you could put there would just be unbelievable.
Okay, Mayor Foster, Sin, and Councilman Hibb, you've gone over time, but I think all of the questions were pertinent. We are closing out this project, and we thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now, our third project, we are 3 minutes behind schedule, but we will give you your full 15 minutes.
Oh, it won't take that long, but I want to apologize up front. I won't have near the energy that Mayor Sin has when I present mine. Great job, Foster, as always.
All right, just a minute. We want your full attention.
Thank you.
All right, Mayor Hicks.
Okay. Thank you, Chair Tolan, and members of the committee. It's good to be here
Audience,
tonight.
we have someone who's presenting.
Okay, we have a presentation. It's just a couple slides I want to show tonight. So, okay, there we go.
All right.
Back in 2018 and 19, from the previous sales tax, we started upgrades and working on the old Pomeranius School. Of course, we were limited in funds from that, but as we said that night when we were approved, we are thankful to take anything we can and move forward and make it as functional as possible, because I understand there's a lot of needs in this county, so you have to look at it as a whole. And with the first sales tax, we started with the renovation of replacing the roof on the school, because you had to do that to stabilize the structure. Number 2, we got in and we looked at things, and I think the drawings from the architect now was a little ambitious to start with the first sales tax. There was no way we were going to be able to complete what all was in the drawings. So we kind of got with the architect, the engineers, set aside and worked on the parts that we could, renovating the auditorium, the stage, adding heating and air to those areas, and putting restrooms. And we'll show a little bit of that later on in the presentation. And with that, I want to go to the first slide and talk about what we're looking at now. During the first part of the renovation, the engineers and the workers said that, you know, this is the basement. For some reason, 3 of the rooms had wooden floors. If you look underneath, there's some concrete. It's about a 3 to 4 inch drop there, and they said we need to get that wood out. Well, if you see the wood in there is pretty dry, you can see how it's decaying and all. This picture was taken a couple weeks ago. In the rooms that have an issue, we do have dehumidifiers. That's why it's dry. But they told us we do need to get this wood out. If you see around the door frames, there's some rot. That wood needs to be replaced. Another issue down in the basement, we were able to get lighting down the hall, but we were not able to get lighting in the room. So that's the reason you got the picture there showing going into the room. There's 3 rooms downstairs. Each room is 28 by 22, and they have the same wooden floors. Go ahead with the next slide. I want to show you that because right across the hall, and this is the same school building, that shows a completed floor with the concrete. Why they had floors across the hall with concrete and 3 across, I don't know. That was done back in the 30s and the 40s, so that just happened to be the way it was done. Go ahead with the next slide. That is the hall in the basement. We do not want to keep that sign there. A citizen brought that to my house, dropped it off in the yard. He did not want a salvage person to come by and pick that sign up that had got washed out and take it away, so I had to drag it and put it in there. We would like to remove that. Now, if you see, we do have good lighting in that portion, but as you can see, we have peeling paint. We have down the baseboards, you can see rot that needs to be repaired, and the ceiling tiles. And kind of give you a little update on the ceiling tiles. When we were putting ceiling tiles in the auditorium area, we really didn't have the funding in the previous sales tax to do that. So the people who were doing the work on that part were actually changing the better tiles out and did a pretty good job picking, but that's why the tiles look so bad in the other areas of the school. Next slide. We're going to move up to the second floor. And this is one of the 3 classrooms. It's on the upper level of the school. As you can see, the older wood floors that have been waxed many times. We kind of stored some things in from the other rooms that were being worked on, and it's still there. There's the tiles I was talking about with the water damage. There are lights in the upper classrooms with the old lighting. Now, one thing that was done in the previous sales tax, the electrical was redone. So it's already there, but the lights are still there, the old tile. Go ahead with the next one, please. That's the hall. That kind of breaks in between the auditorium and the 3 classrooms. If you get to the end of the hall, there was some work. Okay, it's fine. That was done on that end because they had to put in handicap access in case there was a fire. That's where a person in a wheelchair would go until fire services would come, EMTs would come and get them out. So that end was closed off and remodeled. But as you can see, you still got the old tile. We do have new lights there, but you will see that the floors were not refinished in that portion either. Go ahead and hit the next. Now, this is the front breezeway. And this is something that really, concerns us because we do rent the cafeteria out. We have a lot of success renting that out. If you see that breezeway, it goes right in front of the cafeteria. It goes right into the main part of the auditorium. As you can see from the paint that's peeling there, we had talked about enclosing that with some type of material that wouldn't have to be painted. We have had that test. It's more than likely that is lead paint up there from back in the 40s. If you look at the front wall of the cafeteria, that's the first part. As you see, we do have new door frames and new windows, but below that is plywood. We would like to replace that. We would like to replace that wooden buffer up above the windows and just reface that. That is a frequently used building. That's also where we have our boating booths at. So we do get some town use, community use out of it, and private events and public events in that part of the cafeteria as well as the auditorium. With that, that's the three areas that I want to talk about tonight. I do have cost figures for each area, square footage, but we're looking at the bottom basement. It's basically a maintenance issue with the wood floors and taking care of that part, maybe getting lighting in the rooms. The upstairs, we would like to finish those classrooms. We have been getting scouting groups, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, looking for places to meet. We would like to have places where we could bring groups to come in and meet. And maybe if you have other services that the county and state might could use, like summer programs and all, we could use those rooms for that. Then the front, of course, we would really like to dress up this front portion going into the school. That's the side that faces the road. Now with that, I wanted to show you what the renovations could look like based on what was done with the last. Go ahead with the next slide. As you can see, this is the hall beside the stage. Now you remember the floors that was down the hall of the previous, that's what the floors looked like before they were finished. The guy said probably had 100 coats of wax. He had wax that was probably 2 foot long and probably 1/4 to 1/2 inch thick. That I think they had to sand those floors something like 6 to 7 times to get it down to the wood before they refinished it. As you can see, there's the 2 bathrooms, men and women's bathrooms, supply closet in between for our cleaning supplies, and a water fountain. So, you know, that's what it looks like. And you can see the tile up there. Those were actually changed out with the better looking tiles in the hall and the classroom. I'll put it at that. Okay, go ahead with the next slide. That's the auditorium, and that's the way it looked when it was finished. You can see the lighting, the handicap ramp going up to the bathrooms, so accessible by all parties. I think this auditorium was approved to use anywhere between 100 and 150 people. We've had events so far. We've had scouts doing their soapbox derbies. We've had a piano recital that had to switch over here because of the weather issues. We've had some Little League coaches meetings in here. We've had requests for beauty pageants to be held here, which would be a prime spot with the stage. This would be rental opportunities. But just kind of tell you, the last 2 years, we've kind of been on a hole with COVID. We did not open back up to renting until January of this year. So we were pretty much down with rentals from March 2000 up to the end of December of this year. We opened back up for rental in January. Kind of give you an idea with the cafeteria, before all that was shutting down, we were renting the cafeteria probably anywhere from 15 to 20 times a year. Coming forward this week, I think there's going to be a church going to have an Easter egg hunt there this weekend. We are starting to get rentals to pick back up now that we've put it back out there, and we had a rental that posted last year for a wedding reception, but she did it far enough out. I said we should be okay because it's going to be in December of 2022. And with that, go to the next slide. That's the new roof we're talking about. Real nice roof. If you saw the previous roof, it was an older roof, probably going back to the 30s and the 40s. We had it painted one time, but it was already leaking. This is taking care of that problem, stabilized, so it's made the building sound and sturdy for use. Okay, and that's pretty much my presentation. Told you I would get you 3 minutes back.
Right on time. All right, questions?
Where is the roof at for your cafeteria that you talked about?
The roof, I don't have a good picture of that except for the one where we're showing the front. Actually, that's a rubberized roof. And when we
It's
took...
flat, right?
It's flat. When we took that facility over from the school, the town committed funds to replace that roof back in the early 2000s. So it was replaced once by the town.
What date was it replaced?
Probably around 2002, 2003, somewhere in that area.
That's a 30-year roof. It's a
Probably so.
When did you have the metal roof put on?
That was put on in 2018.
They did a good job.
They sure did. Great job.
So it sounds like it was kind of 3 different
Yeah, there's 3 different
segments,
sections in
basement,
there,
upstairs,
correct.
cafeteria. Do you have like a priority?
Yeah, I mean, priority, number one, I think we need to take care of those maintenance issues, get that rotten wood out of the basement. You need that. That was brought to us by the construction people. Being that we had to shift the funds, we wanted to make something functional. With the last, we stopped, right behind the stage. We got one room, the bathrooms, the stage, the auditorium, and of course, the roof, which was probably the major cost, and then the lighting and the new electricity throughout the building, running the wires. Probably the second would be the facing of the front of the cafeteria, because that is so noticeable when you come through. And when people rent it, it would look a lot better if it was upgraded. And then probably the third would be the upstairs. Of course, yes, you would like to have that sanded floors, look like everything else in the rooms, but the others are probably, I would say, higher priority. And like I said, I got the square footage and the prices that were. We used $125 a square foot to renovate. That came from working with Alliance, and based on the numbers he gave us, that was probably low end. I could have gone higher end, but I don't like the numbers that look too high. I don't like dollar figures that look too high, and I understand in this day and era, prices are changing weekly. I've talked to other entities that have presented projects, and they're just amazed at prices of their projects, and even trying to cut is tough in this day and age.
The floor you talk about replacing wood, structurally, what's the problem with it? It's not a stability problem.
What is that, the wood?
Wooden floor in the
No,
basement.
it's not, but when you got rotten there, it could lead on to other problems, I guess, with having that rotten floor. You would like to stabilize it, and just having rot, you could get, I guess, insects and others, because it makes it easier for them to want to come in and feast on it, I guess, if it starts decaying.
Well, that's not easy where you talk about pouring concrete in the basement. That's a high dollar issue doing that.
Well, with trucks, we got doors on both ends. I'm sure they could put extenders to pour. I doubt they would have to get by, with mixing it and pouring it. Now, I ran into an issue a couple years ago with a personal item. We took a dump truck or took a dump bed and took it out of the concrete truck. You could take a small bed and pour it in there. I mean, still save money. It wouldn't be like mixing it on the premises and doing it, because that would get expensive.
Any more questions?
Any more?
Thank you, Mayor Hicks.
Okay, thank y'all.
We're right on time, so let us get our books together and we'll proceed. Okay. We're good. All right, I think we're ready. Our last presentation for tonight will be Building Thriving Communities Foundation, City of Newberry.
No, we still got another one.
Prosperity.
Prosperity.
She ready to go.
Sorry, y'all. Sorry. I'm rushing through. Town of Prosperity. Town of Prosperity Parks Enhancement. Councilman Mike Hawkins and Ms. Karen Livingston, Town Administrator. I'm
I
sorry.
was just waiting, the good book says, sit in the back, wait to be called up, so.
I'm sorry. Now,
Madam Chair, members of the commission, I have with me Ms. Karen Livingston, our town administrator, who prepared all the background work for you and the paperwork, and she'll answer any questions that you might have when I finish. That's right. Our mayor really wanted to be here tonight because parks, playgrounds, and recreation are high on his priority list. But he's out of town, so you got me. He asked me to come and to explain why these projects are so vital to our vision for prosperity. You may wonder why he sent an old man up here to talk about recreation for children. But he's heard me tell it so many times. In 1956, when I turned the age to play Little League Baseball, the only option we had at that time was for our parents to bring us to the city of Newberry. Some parents did, and mine didn't. Later years, as I reflected back on all those nights that I went to bed crying because I didn't get to play baseball, I promised myself if I ever had a chance to change that for the people in the lower end of the county, that I would work toward those ends, and I have. We are proud that we have partnered with the county to offer year-round sports to many age groups in the lower end of the county. Now, we're not here just talking about people that live in the town of Prosperity. A lot of the folks that participate in our activities live outside the city limits. We've prepared an additional sheet for you tonight. And you'll see on that sheet, in the last 12 months, we've had 7 Dixie Youth minor teams, 6 Dixie Youth Ozone teams, 9 Pee Wee ball, 10 T-ball, 8 coaches pitch, 3 Angels softball teams, 4 Ponytail softball teams, 7 football teams in conjunction with the city of Newberry, and 24 soccer teams. We have fielded 78 teams for the folks in the town of Prosperity and surrounding area. And those rosters add up to approximately 1,000 children. Now, granted, some of those children may have played more than one sport, so it might not be quite 1,000. Those might not sound like big numbers to the city of Newberry, but for us, those are big numbers, and we're proud of them. Over the years, we've had a number of young people who began playing in our system. They've gone on to play college sports and even 2 or 3 professionals. Now, a tiny percent of the people that come through the system make it to college or professional. The vast majority of them don't even make the high school team, but we give them the opportunity at an early age to have the experience to figure out whether or not they want to be involved in those kind of sports. If you turn to your PowerPoint presentation, I think you can look at the screen, or I think you also have copies. I'm not going to read it all to you. I'm just going to hit some of the highlights, and you can stop me if you have questions. The next page, yeah. Our facilities are utilized daily by citizens and visitors for outdoor recreation, walking tracks, football fields, soccer fields, wee ball, t-ball, coaches pitch, Dixie Youth baseball, and girls softball. Numerous camps, programs, and events held at our parks and playgrounds. And at the bottom of that next slide, you'll see ADA compliance. We need to do a lot to be ADA compliant with our facilities. You're going to see that on a lot of these pages. At the town center park, we need to add a safety barrier and signage to separate the walking track from road traffic. It scares me every time I see people playing and walking and cars coming through. There's some other improvements there. You turn the page, there's a conceptual drawing of what that will look like. At our North Main Street ballpark, we like to pave the parking lots, and that's phase 2 of the 2016 Cpst funding. Here again, ADA compliant concession stand and ADA restrooms. At our town center football soccer field, we want to add a 2,000 square foot concession stand with attached ADA restrooms. At our Langford Street Park, we want to put fencing around the basketball court. We want to add a 20 by 28 picnic shelter and grills with attached ADA restrooms. We need to light the parking area and the basketball court. The next page shows you a conceptual drawing of what that will look like. Highway 76, we're proposing a dog park. Now you may say, why? We don't get a lot of requests for dog parks, but several of our downtown buildings have been turned into apartments. And those folks just don't have anywhere that they can turn the dog loose to run. And we have gotten a good many requests for a dog park. This is one of those places where it's just too many zeros there. I can't imagine it costing $100,000 to build a dog park. I would have thought maybe 10, but that's what the folks that do that kind of work tell us. Our downtown square park, we, for years, have been raising funds and trying to make some improvements to our downtown square. If you flip on over, you'll see a computer picture of what that can look like. I think the picture speaks for itself, and there are 2 pictures there, one with the sign and one on the business side of the town. One's the entrance and one is the business side. The return on investment on parks and playgrounds cannot be readily converted to dollars and cents. But I believe that if people have a good experience at our parks and playgrounds, we will keep the young people we have living in the town of Prosperity, and we will draw new folks into the town and the immediate surrounding area. You heard the mayor say last week that we've got a 50-acre parcel that's about to be developed. And so what we've done in the past, we're proud of, but we know we've got to do more in the future. And in closing, I'm going to admit to you that I've got a selfish reason for wanting these parks and playgrounds improved. My wife and I have just started the grandparent experience. We have one age 5, one age 3, and one 5 days. So I hope to be able to take our grandchildren to enjoy these facilities too. And now, if you got any questions, Ms. Livingston and I will attempt to answer them.
I think if I were you, I'd have started off, first of all, if I'm going to brag about the successes, the ANVET World Series champions from Prosperity. The majority of them were from Prosperity.
Yes, sir.
And that was a major accomplishment, 4 years. I guess my main question you got, looking at everything you got, and I'm one of those grandparents that go and watch ball games during the week and on weekends at your park, is why would you want to renovate on the town center complex? That's one of the nicest complexes I've seen in South Carolina. And you want to redo the actual promenade area. Why would you do that?
Well, thank you for the compliment. We appreciate that. One idea that we have, and I think we need to do, is make those one-way streets so that you turn and go toward Grace Church on one side, and when you come back in, it's a one-way street coming in that ends there at State Farm.
Yeah.
And we really need another traffic light right there to break it up. And if you're in Prosperity often, you know we got a traffic problem and we're working to deal with it.
But you're right there at the police headquarters. So, you know, you could pretty much dictate what's gonna occur or what's not.
Now, are you talking about the town center where the ball fields are?
That's correct.
Okay, he was
Oh,
talking about downtown.
I thought you were talking about the downtown.
Okay.
I'm
that-
talking about your complex, where you have the pee-wee baseball. You have them all age groups.
Yes.
girls, boys.
T-ball, we-ball.
Yeah,
That facility, the improvements to that part is to add lighting to the football field and a concession area back there, as well as the signage and a barrier, a safety barrier between the walking track and where people come in. They don't know where the road ends, and they're driving over the walking track, and we're fearful that someone's gonna get hurt. It was not realized by the engineers from the 2016 project when we put the walking track in that would be an issue. But that signage is expensive, the lighting is expensive for the football field. So that's why. I mean, there's no improvement. The ball fields will be the same. Wonderful concession stand, the restrooms are nice there, that picnic shelter. The park improvements will be new playground equipment. The toddler one is just worn completely out.
but wouldn't adding lights be, are you looking at it as a positive or a negative? I mean, if you sit down and think about it, is that a positive or a negative, adding lighting to that area? Where you have use, you don't have use now, and you would have use with potential liability later on.
Well, the lighting for the walking track has been requested by our walkers. We have a lot of citizens that comment how dark it is on the backside of the walking track.
Yeah.
And then during football season, we've been having to take portable lighting there that runs off a diesel generator for them to practice. And soccer as well uses that field. It's a multi-purpose field. So it's an improvement that is going to be positive for the recreation and for the town citizens that use it. I mean, that walking track is used every day,
There,
several times a day.
How many times though is it used at night?
During the football season, when the days are shorter, their season, it's used 5 days a week in the evenings for practice. And the walking track is people that get off work, but they still are committed to walking.
and usually between like 4:30 a.m. and 6 a.m., there are about 10 people out there walking.
Yeah.
Older people before work, younger people.
It's a group of people that walk every day, all around town. You'd be challenged to find a day that it's not used, even on the weekend. But
What is the town's priority? Because it's a lot of parks listed. So what's the actual priority?
I know what mine are. The town has not really voted on picking among these. If it's any way possible that you could let us know, you know, the dollar figure that you're thinking about, and let us, we could have a call meeting. We let the press know 24 hours ahead of time, have a call meeting. We won't make you wait a week. We'll have a quick call meeting. I know what mine are. I know what I'm gonna try to convince the town to say are our priorities, but I don't think I'm allowed, or I'm not ready to speak for the rest of the council members.
each project, each facility, property is broken down into a dollar amount. And the whole project is being pitched here today, but each one is broken down. As far as the ADA compliance and the most used field would be the North Main Street one. That concession stand has been long overdue for a reno, but Councilman Hopkins is correct. You know, the council would be glad to prioritize if this is a project that's picked for the CPST funding.
And I'll tell you, my top priority would be the Langford Street Park, because a lot of children live out Langford Street. At the present time, they have to cross Highway 76. They have to cross Main Street, which is 391, to get up to the Civic Center to use the playground up there. And if we improve the Langford Street playground, then they won't have to do that. That's one of my priorities. I will share that with you.
Now, which one are you calling Are you talking about that project being the one that's at the four-way stop where you go to 76 and the park is off to the left? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yes, the one on to the left, coming out of Newberry to the left there on.
I got you.
Street.
Four-way stop.
No, there's not a four-way stop, but you can go to Whiteman, you can turn to the right, you can turn to the left, you can keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Lord, that's in use full-time, it seems like, during the summer.
It is. The basketball court's used even more than that.
Can you, it's hard for me to follow where everything is. The dog park one, where is this?
It's on Highway 76. It's between Grace Church and Whiteman Church on that stretch of road. There's already
Beside First
a
Community.
park there. It's not used a lot, but
It's not in front of what, like where in regards to
It's
Whiteman?
on 76 between Whiteman and the bank.
Okay.
It's to the right. It's between the railroad and the
You speak
road.
about the roadside park?
Yes, it's
yes,
the
yeah,
roadside.
that's right.
The roadside.
Yeah.
About 45 years ago, a lot of people would picnic there when traffic wasn't as bad. It was-
Yeah, yeah. Any other questions? If not, thank you all for what you are
Yeah, I know what
doing.
you're talking about.
This is-
Crossing the street.
These projects are so important to our towns, the city.
We got another question.
When
Okay.
you're talking about kids crossing the street, are you talking about the use the restroom or something? or
No.
Just
The,
getting over to the park, just getting over to Lancaster Street?
Just getting over, the Langford Street Park is not the quality that we have at the Civic Center.
Right. I
So
know
if they want to
exactly where
get
it
to the
is, yeah.
Civic Center, they have to cross Highway 76 and 391.
Right.
And if we improve the Langford Street Park, a lot of those children will not have to make that transition.
They could
I
stay
got
at
you.
Langford
Stay,
Park.
okay. All right.
But as I was saying, this is so important to our towns, to our infrastructure providers who are planning to bring in better jobs and better housing for our county. Thank you all for serving.
You said something about infrastructure, under the new infrastructure that we just passed. Is there any way you can get in that kind of money to do some of this with? Have you looked into that yet?
I'm not familiar.
Under the new infrastructure bill that we just passed by policy,
You mean coming down from Washington?
Yes.
No, we have not looked at that.
none of this will qualify for that.
We don't know, do we?
I don't know. I don't know. That's new.
Now, when I said infrastructure, I was talking about the Water and Sewer Authority.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Providing water for the new businesses and houses. Thank you.
'Cause I think a lot of that money can,
Thank you.
some of that.
Okay.
As Mr. Hawkins was saying, that he's very interested in the project that he brought forth, he and Ms. Livingston. But you can see that I'm very interested in the Golden project. I'll wear my shirt proudly, and I want you all to know. All righty.
All right, we have our last presentation. Everybody ready? Okay. All right, Building Thriving Communities Foundation, City of Newberry, Newberry County, renovation of Old Gallman High School, Gallman Place, Phase 1. And we're going to have Ms. Pat Caldwell will be presenting first, and then Mr. Joe McDonald. And if y'all are ready, it's almost, let's wait till 7 o'clock. It's 6:59.
Okay.
Gonna let you start on time. All right.
Okay, good evening. My name is Patricia Caldwell. To Ms. Lisa Tolan, the chairperson of the Capital Sales Tax Commission, and to all of the other commissioners. Thank you for allowing the Building Thriving Communities Foundation to present a proposal to seek funding to renovate the old Gallman School. The school is located at 540 Brantley Street, and this is a historical building. We do have some of our members here. Our members, will you just stand briefly? Members of the board members. Mhm. Okay, thank you. And I want the Galvanites, please stand. You went to Galvin, you graduated from Galvin? Okay, thank you so very much. I do appreciate the support. The presenters this evening, there's a slight change there. That would be Pat Caldwell first, Joe McDonald second, Carlton Conant third. Christy Hughes will close it out for us. Okay. Our mission and our vision. Okay. Our project, Gallman Place. Our project, Gallman Place, a multi-use community center that provides programs, services, and resources that address the needs across our county. Our mission. The mission of Gallman Place is to enable individuals and families across the county to be informed, healthy, productive, and engaged members of their community. Our vision. Our vision, a project that connects the past, the present, and the future. In simpler terms, an investment in the people of Newberry. I represent the past. We're into the present now, hoping to leave a future legacy for the ones to come after us. Okay, the history of Gallman. Gallman High School was named for an outstanding educator, Dr. Ulysses S. Gallman. He was the supervisor of education for the African American schools in Newberry in the county for 40 years. Dr. Gallman was a diligent and untiring worker in the field of education. The school opened its doors in 1954. During this time, we had students coming from all areas of the county for the high school. To the left there, you see the picture of what the school looked like in 1954, then the upgrade to 1970. We had students coming from Newberry, Whitmire, Little Mountain, Conants, Chapels, Silver Street, Prosperity, Pomeria, Mableton, Jalapa, and Peak. The last graduating class was the class of 1970. In later years, Gallman became a junior high school, elementary school, alternative school. And the last group that was there, it housed adult education, Newberry County First Steps, Newberry Family Literacy. These were the last groups to occupy the building. Newberry County School District deeded the building to Building Thriving Communities Foundation in December of 2021. An historic building of significance to many. This school has a lot of significance to all of its graduates. The continued use of this school will be a tribute to the many who attend Gallman by preserving the history of this institution that served so many. The plaques that remain on the wall will be preserved as a testament to the role the community, the school served in the community. Gallman High School produced educators, lawyers, ministers, doctors, politicians, military leaders, as well as professional athletes. So we're asking if you would give deep consideration so that this historical edifice remains there and that we can serve the community, not just that community, but so we can serve Newberry County by providing a place for services and resources. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Ms. Caldwell described the mission and the vision of Gallman Place, but to get to our plan, we also had to do some research and some needs assessment. The demographic research reveals that even though Newberry County prospers in many ways, we do have significant issues. We have poverty, including children's poverty. We have educational challenges for our school children. We have health issues, for example, in the area of births. We have issues with nutrition, for example, food insecurity. Our needs assessment included focus groups with members of the community to ask them what they thought of Gallman Place and what should be included. We did door-to-door surveys in the neighborhood. We talked to those who attended the Gallman reunion in 2019 about their ideas and suggestions and their willingness to help. The themes, some of them are the focus groups and interviews, were on life skills, preserving the building and its history, access to such things as computers and the internet, the importance of Gallman in the neighborhood and in the community. Once we did our research, then we created our plan. And here it is. Gallman Place will be a site for existing social programs to set up shop and run programs. More about that in a minute. It will be an academic center for people of all ages with all sorts of programming throughout the year. It will be a community gathering place for interest groups and for topics to be discussed. And very importantly, it will have a history and archives room, again, to document and to pay tribute to those who attended Gallman and have served our community so well. We believe that once these programs are up and running, Gallman Place will have a significant impact on the people and on this community. We talk about these impacts in terms of human capital and social capital. These are terms from my career as a social scientist at Newberry College. In terms of human capital, we will help individuals get a better education, be better prepared for the workforce, be healthier. In terms of social capital, we believe that building human capital means that you create ties, additional ties among people and groups and among groups, thus binding people together, which is the social capital that a community needs to move forward and be a strong community. Specifically, we think Gallman Place will impact poverty in our community, employment, education, and attitudes and engagement in the community. These are ambitious goals, but we are an ambitious group with a track record, with years of experience in running programs in Newberry County. And as John Glasgow likes to say, we can do this. And I always believe John Glasgow, and we can do this.
Madam Chair and members of the Commission, I bring to you the presentation for our partners. We're so happy and excited to have the support of the City of Newberry and also Newberry County, but we'd like to go more in depth with our community partners throughout Newberry County. First, we have our first partner, which is the Newberry County Literacy Council, which is under the direction of Ms. Barbara Chapman. As you see, with those many programs that she and her board at the Literacy Council host in her building, we'd like to also implement some of those programs in Gallman School as well. For example, the FAST program, which took place also at Newberry Elementary whenever I was there at Newberry Elementary. FAST stands for Families and Schools Together, which help implement different strategies for our families and local community members through education. Also, we have here Mr. John Glasgow, who is also a graduate 1965 class of Gallman, who is the executive director, of the Live and Hope Foundation. We'd like to also have food distributions for the community and for countywide thrift shop, meetings, and recognition events at the school. Also, Newberry College, under the direction and tutelage of the Muller Center, Dr. Krista Hughes, who is also here and also on our board, and myself, we have had some great support from our college president, Dr. Maurice Sharons, and also different departments, academic departments, athletics. They have also input a letter of support for Gallman School, some to recognize here on our slide, which is the nursing program, which will offer practicums through the nursing department, and also the education department, which will offer field experiences, tutoring programs, and summer programs, physical therapies, therapy, and also music and creative arts. First Steps, which is run by Ms. Sarah Ergel, which will providing books for children's programs, providing readers for children, a local story walk, which is a very trending thing that is happening across our nation, and also we have a story walk downtown and in many of our many parks in the city. Bright Beginnings by Ms. Emily Crump Sattler, a variety of programs for families to participate in improving literacy skills. The Adult Ed program run by Ms. Roberta Keinert, training and also having the access to the kitchen, which we will discuss later on in the slide, and also offer special events as well. Newberry County Family YMCA, Director Scott Sander have also shown interest into the Gallman School with health screenings, youth sports activities. Right now, the city uses the gymnasium currently for the Gallman School with the basketball, and the Y in the city will look forward to using those facilities as well. Exercise classes for seniors, Silver Sneakers. Of course, the YMCA has a Silver Sneakers program, blood pressure, self-monitoring, diabetes education. The Newberry Arts Center, Ms. Marguerite Palmer. Arts activities and classes for adults and children throughout the county at Gallman School, and also to uplift and upkeep the building with murals and pictures for the hallways. Our work so far. The building renovation preparation, we have met with many people through this process, some in particular, the Council of Governments. We have met with a representative from that group, and also met with 2 contractors to walk the building to get some professional expertise from them as well. And we also hosted a cleanup with Newberry College students and community volunteers. We've also met with the Alliance engineer and received many feedback from him as well. And also we are still in the process of meeting with Mr. Brad Sauls of the South Carolina Department of Archives and History about preservation grants. As I mentioned before, we had a cleanup on the MLK Day here in Newberry with our Newberry College students. Of course, on MLK Day, there are no classes, no school whatsoever, and we was able to get our Newberry College students to participate in a cleanup as well. And here's a picture. Fundraising. Establish a PayPal donation site. We already have that established already, and receiving right now a $600 amount per month from a private donor, and also receive $7,500 from a local foundation. And we have also negotiated a $100,000 pledge from a local philanthropist as well, and many more. We have also had different. All right, so we have 2 minutes, but I want to make sure we outline this. We have also had a commitment from Kraft Heinz, who has committed to donate a full kitchen and equipment, an Arctic Chill with different cubicles and desks and chairs, and also First Community with a large conference table with 12 chairs. And now I will quickly pass the remote over to Dr. Krista Hughes.
Thank you. We'll see what I can do in, 90 seconds now. What I hope you'll see is that we've got a tremendous amount of partnership that has gone on from the beginning. We've been working on this project for over 5 years with people across the city and the county, and all of us are still involved with this. there are so many of us that are doing this. So I just want to real briefly about the future. We are working on a major grant, a conditions assessment grant from the South Carolina Archives and History that's due in a couple of weeks. We've got a community donation campaign we're about to kick off as we've got room sponsorships, and we're going to look into some corporate sponsorships, and also plan to get a little bit of rental income from office space, classrooms, and the dining hall. There's just a little bit of a view of some of the places that we'll be working on. Here is the image. Just to be clear, we are only seeking monies from Cpst for the green area for phase 1. We will be doing other types of fundraising for the other phases, and that all, this entire diagram was done by Alliance Engineering, so we have a sense of the full project, but this is just the first part. We do want you to know that if we get this one part done, we can begin programming. So we don't have to wait on the whole building to be done to start doing what we want to do, which is why we have asked specifically for what we are asking for from you all, the commission. The timeline for renovation would be fairly quickly if we got the monies to begin design work in January, end by April, and then do the work in the remainder of 2023. And we are just here to appeal to you. Again, this has been collaborative from the very beginning. We do have a memorandum of understanding with both the city and the county. We understand this to be a collaborative project, and that together we can be more productive and efficient with addressing these needs, these significant needs in Newberry County, so that the citizens of Newberry County can be better educated, healthier, better prepared, and generally more engaged. Thank you very much.
Put the slide back up for the phase,
Yes, ma'am.
so that we can see what actually phase 1 is. All right, questions?
How come the money wouldn't be spent till 2023? The money you're asking for would not be used until 2023. Go to the next slide. The work would actually not start until January of 2023. And that was, I mean, you know, what would you do with the money except draw interest on it if you
Well, that's when the money will be available. This will be on the ballot in November, and either passed or not passed, and then the money will be allocated.
Allocated, correct.
It's kind of hard to see on our copy, so. Oh, where's that? Oh, okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
So it's like a cafeteria, kitchen, and then
Yes. so
classrooms.
It's a cafeteria, a kitchen, and classrooms.
Last piece.
And 2 bathrooms, which they also need to make ADA compliant. Actually, 4, if you'll
Yeah, all
see,
4
there are also
bathrooms.
bathrooms down on the right-hand end that are green, so those will be included.
What does it look like now?
As far as the building concerned?
Yeah. What's on the inside?
It's not in bad shape. Adult Ed used this building until, what, a year and a half ago?
Yes.
And Bright Beginnings was there, and First Steps was there. It's usable now. It's just old, it hasn't been updated.
In a
It
while.
needs new lighting and use of new flooring, but it's not in bad shape. The gym is very usable, and it continues to be used. So the building's not collapsing, it's in good shape, but needs to be updated.
In fact, the estimate, the initial estimate was that it would be 2.5 million, and once Alliance got in there, they lowered it to the 14.5.
Oh.
Because they were so impressed with the structural integrity of the building.
If you get like some of the grants and money that you are expecting or may get, does that go to like phase 2 and 3 and whatnot, or is
So
that?
the conditions assessment would not only offer us an an assessment, but would contribute to some design work. So we would have to work that out if we were to get that grant from the state archives, and then we were also to be on the ballot and the ballot pass. Then it may be that we could add, for example, let me go back. The library is really, I'm going the wrong direction. Do you see that large light yellow at the very, or I'm
Yep.
sorry, the library over on the right? The
Uh-huh.
library is a really wonderful space, and so if we were able to cover some of what we're asking for now with the state grant, I think we would perhaps add the library to phase one. It would also be wonderful to be able to address the gymnasium because it's already being used, and there would be, so we would have to make some decisions between those two.
But as we indicate on some of these slides, we think we can do a corporate campaign, since we already have donations from Kraft Heinz and Arctic Chill and First Community, that there'll be corporations who want to take one of these rooms and turn it into a computer lab, for example. Or another group that might want to say, okay, we'll sponsor the archives room and fix that up. And plus, we're going to work with Gallman graduates to see if they might want to adopt certain of the classrooms and fix that up and make it kind of their room, but also have funds to help us fix that up.
Is this going to be done by all volunteer employees, or are you going to have to pay someone to be there with your activities going on once it's renovated? Because, I mean, you're talking about a lot of things, a lot of hours of the day.
Short answer, yes. We're going to have
Yes.
we're going to have somebody to administer the program. Ms. Barbara Chapman of the Literacy Council is our interim director right now, and we would have to have a person who would manage, our relationship with these organizations who are going to come in there and use it, and to oversee the building and its use. So yes, we would have to have a small paid staff.
So she would just, she'd be the coordinator of all the events and programs.
Coordinator's a good description for it, yes.
In addition, part of what we want to build with the college, which I can speak on behalf of the college, I would like to see us build a strong volunteer corps of students, and then have students who have worked there for a while even do an internship placement, so we could have pre-professional interns from the college working with the paid staff.
Yeah, I guess to play off your question, because just upkeep and cleaning the restrooms and cleaning everything, like, how do you generate some
Are there funds
money
for it?
to keep it going, once you build it, to keep it going? Well, any thoughts on that?
Well, within our presentation, if you want to go back to, we do have some key donors that are given already. So we do have already an established base of support in regards to money. Then, of course, also within our capital campaigns that we fundraise through the Gallman Nights and also through corporate partnerships and sponsorships, we will have the funds that will be ready to utilize to help offset any costs that may come with that, with the upkeep.
Do you think will any of the programs have a cost? Or is it mostly free things?
Well, go ahead, Ms. Caldwell. Go ahead.
Okay. The portion that we're looking at for the capital sales tax money, okay, like DSS, First Steps, some of those nonprofits, they could use it. But then also we're looking ahead at, you may have some other businesses that would like to use the space. And these businesses, we would charge them a fee. That money will go in to help with the upkeep of the building.
Circling back to Newberry College nursing program, that's just been in existence 8 or 9 years. Tell me how y'all are trying to involve Newberry College with the school in regards to the nursing program again. I didn't have the part C and D.
So I've spoken with department chairs across the college.
The nursing program chairs.
Well, so Jerry Aylwine, who is currently overseeing the nursing program along with respiratory therapy, there were not a lot of details yet, but just that the Gallman place would be a place that wellness activities could happen, or just wellness fairs and education. blood pressure checks, things like that.
There would not be anything like that, having an interim person there, that you have a graduate assistant from Newberry College at the school.
There's nothing formal at this time with that.
Well, that's what I,
Yeah,
what I,
no.
okay. Thank you.
With the new kitchen cafeteria, that would be another area that you'll be able to generate revenue also.
Exactly, yeah.
Renting out, and also.
That's right.
What about the gymnasium? Because it used to be when you had a Garmin reunion, and will that still continue if you get this done? Will you be able to still have the Garmin reunion where
You bet.
everybody come back from Garmin, be able
We certainly
to?
hope so.
Yes.
And so they've given us great support over the years, not on this project, but great support coming back and supporting. So we still look forward to them supporting this effort as well.
And also the city currently still uses the gym for basketball practices. So the gymnasium will be used quite a lot through, the Gallman Nights and also within the community and also with different partnerships with the
So
city.
we do have the
and
city and the county agreeing together with
Sure.
this.
Absolutely,
Yes,
yes.
both are sponsoring this. Just like with the amphitheater, they're the first two projects that the county and the city has sponsored together on these CPSD projects.
And with the police department, they use, Gallman's bounded by Langford, Brantley, McSwain Street.
Yeah, the
Okay,
park.
so we're looking at the Langford Street side, the part that's in the green there. You have, the police have been using the Langford Street side for tactical drills and training, so they're doing that as well.
Okay, good.
You also brought up Living Hope, distribution center at Garmin School. What about the new facility? How does that tie in with the new facility on, Nance Street?
Yeah, well, we have the man right here.
I know it.
We'll-
I know who he is.
Yeah,
We'll
right.
let the
He's-
horse speak.
The thing that the foundation wants to do is to continue expanding into communities, not only just to the descriptive food, but do educational, nutrition education that we can tie into communities. Also considered even doing a soup kitchen in that facility because the cafeteria is already in place. So our role is to do as much nutritional for the benefit of Newberry County, not just enabling it through that facility. And it offers that there with, our building is new, the new building is not big enough to do those kind of facilities.
You're talking about a food kitchen then, at Garmin?
To a degree.
To a degree. Tell me about a degree. What does that mean?
I'm saying it may not be something we would do every week or every day, but it'd be available to do that if it's necessary to do pre-plan.
I understand.
Pre-plan.
I understand. Thanksgiving, Christmas.
There you go.
Somebody can show up every day, I don't want to put that out. So pre-plan, we would do nutritional training, we would do nutritional donations, we would do hot meals occasionally. I don't want to say, things that we're gonna be doing on a regular basis, but we're gonna do all we can from a nutritional perspective through the Living Hope Foundation, educational, nutrition, whatever. It doesn't, what we just opened up in the new facility on Main Street is not equipped to do that kind of service. Plus, we want to expand it to other areas of the city.
Thank you. I just wanted to get an understanding about the
So,
direction.
Mr. Glasgow, what
Where
you're
you
saying,
going?
we could maybe move there, maybe some events, like maybe Thanksgiving dinner for families and things like that, and other events like that. Maybe 3 or 4 of those a year, something like that.
Right now, we're ready to feed the community for at least what we are. We're gonna do drive-through this year, but those kind of things we plan on doing,
At the Garden Place.
in the home place. We're not gonna move the food pantry there. There may be a food pantry there, maybe a solid satellite pantry there, but, right now, it offers us a lot more opportunity with the Louis Rich, supplying the professional kitchen. We really open things up for the opportunity we can do more nutritional things. I don't want to say the area, but through that Gallman project of Newberry County. Thanks, Mike.
I just want to quickly highlight, I know I rushed through that presentation, that slide, but Kraft Heinz did also make a word of mouth commitment to donate their commercial That's what I'm looking for, commercial equipment for the kitchen. Fully supplied the commercialized kitchen equipment for the cafeteria. So we are grateful for their support and their partnership in this effort.
And they said they would install it.
That's key.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Carlton was going to be in charge of that.
With much prayer.
Take care of that on their own.
There's a lot of need for nutrition education for
Phases,
Newberry County. It's not happening right now, and this will offer that opportunity there for nutrition education. It's a big thing throughout the country, but right now Newberry is not in a position to offer that. I think we'll be able to do that through the Golden Project.
And again, just to clarify, this is just phase one.
That's just
This
phase
is
one.
just phase one. This is all CPST. It's just phase
right.
one.
That is correct.
Right. But it includes enough to get it started and to start running a lot of these programs.
Because we have a lot of groups out there now asking, when will the building, when can we come in? When can they use the building? And it's a lot of people out there that's been asking. I didn't really know that we had quite as many, but, you know, they really want to use the building. So what we're trying to do, trying to get funds so that we can at least get phase one going, so we can open up the doors and have the community to use it.
Okay.
So this, let me just clarify again. This is going to be funded all by Building Thriving Communities Foundation. I see where the electricity and all that's being moved over to you all's name. So y'all will be paying electricity, the phone, all of that.
Right.
Right now, you have $600 a month to do that, but you're planning to have enough to,
You got $100,000.
I negotiate.
a pledge. Yeah, a negotiated
Got
pledge.
$100,000.
Okay.
Well, that's just,
May I,
Yeah.
one of the things that we are planning on doing once we get the facility, they're a part of the building we will lease for activities, even like the kitchen or the dining area will be available for community events. There will be a fee to use that. There are people that want to use a small classroom for office space, businesses, that'd be a fee to use those. So we're not jumping this thing without thinking there's some funds are gonna come in.
Okay.
There's gonna be ways to fund the program once we get it. Once we get the money that you're gonna approve for us to renovate it, you're gonna approve the money for us to renovate it.
Yeah, it's up to us to keep it up, yeah.
Okay, we have gone way over time, but we have one more. I do want to hear from the mayor, from the city.
It was alluded to about the city wanting to use the gym, which I hope will work out. Ms. Caldwell's indicated she's going to send us a bill for that. And we haven't talked about the amount, but that would be one way that I expect this to generate some money, is the use of the gym. Certainly, it's easier for us to rent one than it would be to build one.
That's right.
Thank you.
thank you,
Okay.
Mayor.
You wouldn't cut the lights off, would you?
Did you hear what he said?
He don't make no fun of this.
He said you wouldn't cut the lights off. All right.
Okay, well, thank all of you very much.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank y'all, thank
Appreciate
y'all
it.
for a great presentation.
Thank you.
All right, still following the agenda, we're down to number 5, public comments. Did we have anyone sign up? No one has signed up for public comments. Any other? We're down to number 6, questions, comments from commission members. Y'all good? No questions, concerns? Do I hear a motion for adjournment?
So moved. Second.
This meeting is adjourned at 7:33. Thank you.
Oh, Lord, I tried to rush through.